Well, welcome to another Humboldt Tea Time, and I'm really thrilled that our guest this week is Carly Robbins. And Carly is actually works with Food for People.
I do.
But yeah. Carly, you have a great story to tell, so we're really interested in having you as our guest today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
And we're here again in the Eureka Visitor Centre, the beautiful facility by the gazebo in downtown Eureka. Now, you said before that you really like black tea, which I was thrilled about because I drink black tea too.
I love black tea.
So no milk for you. Now, this is very strong British tea.
Wonderful.
Although they think that it's British. Of course, it's probably grown in Ceylon or India. But anyway, it is called PG Tips.
Oh, all right.
So help yourself.
Wonderful.
So,
tea's my favorite.
Oh, good. Yes, I'm a big tea drinker. Well, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
Now, Carly, we will talk a lot about Food for People, of course, but I want to know much more about you, because the last time I saw you, we were both very glammed up, to put it mildly. We were at the Oscar party.
The Oscar party, Eureka Theatre.
And you looked so wonderful that night. And I thought, well, you always look great, but that night you were very, very glamorous. It was kind of fun, wasn't it?
I love a good excuse to dress up. You don't get a lot of them in Humboldt County, so that's a fun annual event.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too, and I dragged out the suit as well.
Yes.
And you actually have a background in theatre, but you didn't grow up here in Humboldt. You came here from Arizona with your family. What brought you here when you were 15?
My mom was looking to move us to a new region, had been through this area at some point and loved it, and just decided to make the move. It was right before high school, so I ended up starting high school at Eureka High.
Now I have to ask, Arizona, pretty hot, dry, humid.
Dry.
Coming here, a bit wet and damp, sometimes cold.
Yeah, really seen all the temperatures. I was actually born in Denver, Colorado, so I got the snow and all that, then desert in Arizona, and then the very temperate climate in Humboldt County.
Now, after you graduated from Eureka High, you went to New York, I believe, to Brooklyn, because that's where you actually studied or pursued your theatre ambitions.
Yes, I loved the arts and wanted to pursue some kind of career related to it at the time, so I did the Critical and Visual Studies program at Pratt Institute in New York.
And what was your goal then? Were you hoping to pursue something perhaps in theatre design or production?
Yeah, I wanted
acting.
Well, I didn't think I was going to be in front of the camera, but something behind was something that really called to me. My family has a long history in the theatre. That's actually how my parents met, as stagehands in Denver. So I knew I wanted to do something in the arts world, and it was putting together the things I was good at with things I was interested in.
Now, after you graduated, did you come back to Humboldt, or did you take a different journey?
No, I came back to Humboldt. I really missed it here. I missed the redwoods, family, friends, so I knew I wanted to make it back here. So moved back, 2008, height of the recession, found myself a job, I have been here ever since.
Now, have you worked with Food for People all of that time?
No. Actually, I had a few jobs out of college and actually used to manage performing arts theaters. Some people might remember I used to manage the Arkley Center for the Performing Arts many years ago. That company moved me down to the Bay Area for a few years, and then I knew I really wanted to move back to Humboldt. I'd volunteered with Food for People and their Backpacks for Kids program, and knew it was an amazing organization, so I was looking for jobs to get me back, and I found my place at Food for People.
So you were very happy at that point to abandon any thoughts of theatre and
at that time,
something that you were perhaps more passionate about?
Yeah, I was looking to do something that I felt like would have a bigger impact for community, and worldwide issues, and knew I could get my fix of arts things in my hobbies and extracurriculars. So finding a job that used my skill set for something I was passionate about was what made it a perfect fit.
Well, I think community has something that's very important to you, isn't it? Because you were very involved with Rotary here for a while, and I think also the Lost Coast Rotaract Club, which is something I don't know about, actually. So tell us about
Lost Coast Rotaract. It's a great organization. A couple of friends actually and myself helped start, kind of in that fresh out of college age, looking for a way to give back. A few of them had been Rotary Youth Exchange students, so knew a lot about Rotary, and Rotaract's kind of like the young professional version, so it's for 18 to 30 young professionals who might not be ready to jump into Rotary but are looking to give back in some way. So we started a club. It's been an amazing club, even past when I aged out of it, and has done a lot for the community, and is a really good way to get to know people and make a difference. Yeah.
And other than Food for People, other than Rotary, are you still involved with other community organisations?
I volunteer a lot of it's through Rotary. That's kind of the beauty of Rotary, is you can get a big group of people to focus on something you're passionate about. But yeah, so getting involved with any organization. I love a lot of the arts organizations, and at Food for People, we partner with a lot of people, so it makes it pretty easy to find ways to get involved.
Now, there's so much in arts in this community, a lot of which I think people haven't discovered.
Yeah.
I think that, so what things do you think excite people, and how can we bring more of the arts to the community that they're perhaps not even aware of?
Yeah, we have so much in Humboldt County. If you're into visual arts, there's a lot. So many local theaters, from Ferndale Rep to all the places here in Eureka. We have the historic theaters like the Eureka Theater, which is an amazing one to support. They're really renovating that building and making it beautiful. But, even arts organizations like Ink People does an amazing job of, giving artists and working groups a place and an umbrella to really explore their vision. It's not a thing I think a lot of other places have. We have a really high density of artists in Humboldt County, which is amazing. I just made it at Arts Arcada last week, and that was great to see.
Yeah, no, that's a great event as well. But on your daytime, when you're not passionate about the arts study, you've become very involved with Food for People, which is a really wonderful organisation.
Yeah.
Ironically, I spoke with Mike Maguire last week, and I was talking to him about him because he's been a passionate supporter of your organisation.
Yes.
And you have this great new facility that's opening. But I was asking him, when are we going to get to a point in our lives where poverty is solved? We don't need a wonderful organisation like Food for People. What are your thoughts on that?
That is the tricky thing about food insecurity, food banking in general, is everyone's working towards, a future where you're not needed, because ideally everyone has enough to eat and no one has to rely on a food bank or food services. Which is really hard. The answer to poverty is not a simple one, and food insecurity is tied right in there. You can't have one without the other. So Maguire and a lot of our representation here are very pro programs that help people, which is amazing. That's not true everywhere in America, but I would really encourage anyone to look into the legislation happening, because there's a lot going on that affects people on a daily basis. Just recently, anyone who receives CalFresh benefits, which helps a large portion of our population, they've been receiving emergency allotments since COVID started in 2020, and that just went away. So people who haven't been receiving max benefits for the last 3 years are going back down to what it would be previously. For some people, that might be $30, $40 a month, whereas they've been living off $300 plus for several years. So that's a pretty big hit, as the same time inflation and food costs and all of that are rising. So it's a complicated issue.
No, very much so. And in fact, I moved up here from Palo Alto in the Bay Area, which is one of the wealthiest areas in California, and they have a huge number of food banks.
Yeah.
Because people really are struggling. Now, you have this new facility that's going to be opening fairly soon, actually. It's getting quite close. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's actually something we've been working on since I started with Food for People 8 years ago. We knew we needed to renovate, and we needed more space. We were, working out how we might be able to possibly make that happen. And then February of 2020, we had a pretty major sewer inundation at our facility, which is not what anyone wants when you're operating a food bank. So very unfortunate, but it was kind of the kick we needed to make it happen. So we decided to take the building down all the way. We reconfigured the layout to maximize our food storage capacity, which was one of the biggest issues. So it's a whole new footprint. We're going a lot taller. We'll have to have you over. We are adding a lot more cold storage, which is something that's severely lacking in our region. So the cold and freezer storage we're going to have is 3 to 4 times what we've ever been working with before. So we'll be able to take in more fresh produce, frozen perishable donations, those kind of things, which really speaks to our mission of making sure the foods that we are offering to people are healthy. You can build a nutritional diet, because that is also something that's really hard when you're working on a budget. So we want to make sure the foods people are able to access at Food for People are healthy. And we're also, we've been seeing last few years the role food banks play in emergency and disaster response, which here can be anything from winter storms, fires to earthquakes now. So making sure we're able to keep food on hand is a really big part of that. So we're really excited for everything this new facility is going to offer.
Do you know when it's going to open? It's quite soon, I think.
Quite soon. They're working through the last pieces right now, doing paving, fencing, landscaping, and the final touches on the inside. But we are hoping we'll be able to be moved in and getting ready to open, maybe at the end of May, beginning of June.
Very soon.
Yeah, very soon, which is very exciting. Also, if anyone's visited our Eureka Choice Pantry, which is one of 18 in the county, but the one that we run here in Eureka, it's going to be on site at the new facility, and it's going to be twice the space we've been working with. So people can come through, shop for foods that work for them based on a nutritional point system. So people are going away with foods that work for them, if they have food allergies or what's culturally appropriate for them, or just foods that they'll use, because we don't want to be giving foods to people that is then going to go to waste. So It works really well.
But of course, it's not just the pantry. You have giveaways as well, which are regularly featured, and they actually do move around in different parts of the county.
Yeah, we actually have a big truck that we send around. It's our mobile produce pantry, and it goes to areas all over the county, up to Orleans, Wichipec, Oric in the north, Redway, Garberville area in the south, many places in between. So any place that doesn't have a brick and mortar pantry, we'll set up a pop-up once a month, and people can come through, get all the food they need. They know Food for People is going to be there. We've been doing the large-scale drive-thrus at the mall. I think you've seen down at Bayshore Mall, which has been something we started when the pandemic hit and need went up, and has continued on because we haven't seen the need for food assistance come back down. So it's been a really effective way to help a lot of people very quickly and efficiently. Hopefully. This last one, we were in the rain. We had an amazing group of volunteers out there for, I think, just 2 hours, and we gave away more than 600 food boxes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, I spoke to a number of the people who are actually using the facility, and some people were very keen to talk about the success of Food for People, but others, I think, were just seeing it as some kind of humiliation. I don't know if that's too strong a word. And I think that's such a shame, because this is a service that people need, and it's there for them.
Yeah, we really want to destigmatize coming to the food bank, because it can hold a lot of discomfort and shame for people to admit that they might need a little bit of help. But I think we all need a little help some days. There's a lot of people have a very specific vision of who they think the food bank serves, and that's probably not true. A third of the people we serve every month are children, a quarter are seniors, and most of them are families that are working and are either underemployed or just don't make enough at their jobs to get by. Anything from car repairs, medical expenses, utilities are going up. It can be really hard to get by, and food is one thing you can't, scrimp on. You're not going to not feed your family. So we really want to make sure people are aware who it is that needs this assistance. Well, sometimes, because usually it is just once or twice a year, maybe. Someone gets into a situation where they need a little bit of help. So, it could be anyone. It's your friends, it's your neighbors, and there's nothing wrong with asking for a little bit of help when that can make all the difference. We'd rather people come to the food bank, get a little food assistance, instead of, choosing not to pay rent that month or getting behind on medical bills or anything like that. So service for anyone who needs it.
Well, it really is a great service. And just for anyone who doesn't know, how is the organisation funded? Is it volunteers? Is it donations? Or do you receive at least some support?
It's, I think like many nonprofits would say, it's kind of a patchwork of different sources. So we have a lot of local support, which is amazing. We do some programs where we're getting foods from USDA, so some of the foods come that way. We have a contract with DHHS, which allows us to do CalFresh outreach at a lot of our programs, so people can connect with those services at the same time. And then grants, local funders, kind of piece it all together. We have 18 different programs we run, anything from the mobile produce to programs for seniors or children. And every different program has a different funding source and a different strategy.
Well, it does. It has a great community impact, and you mentioned there. I've been to one of the food drives at many of them actually at the mall, and I know you have a big army of volunteers. I'm sure you always need more volunteers.
We do, especially when we open up in our new building. We're going to be expanding, and we'll have more room to bring people in. But right now, we have more than 200 volunteers every single month helping us make it work. We've calculated it out, and that's equivalent to about 11 full-time staff members, and that's all volunteer power. We have volunteers do anything from intake interviews, just sitting down with someone, talking through, how big their family is, what brought them to the food bank, see if we can connect them with any other services, or people who are out at a distribution, packing bags, putting them in cars, doing the hard work. We have, during the summer, our gleaning program, where we go out and harvest excess produce at local farms, backyard gardens, and orchards, and we have volunteers who go out and harvest food that then comes to the food bank. So there's lots of different ways to get involved. It's kind of, it's a lot of people think it might be a whole lot of one kind of work, and if you don't want to get out there and be lifting a lot of stuff, it might not be for you, but there's a lot of different ways to get involved.
Oh, many indeed. Now, I mean, just chatting to you today, we can see your passion for this. Where are you going to go next for yourself within the organization?
Oh, well, I'm very excited for a grand opening of our new facility. It's something we've been working on, and I've been working on for a long time. So I can't wait to get into the new facility. Food for People is going to be able to expand and rethink the way we've been doing things, because we're going to have a lot more capability and capacity than we've ever had before. It's kind of crazy. Our staff's been working out of all these temporary spots and just making things work for the last 3 years. So I'm really excited to see what we can do with a little breathing space, a little elbow room, a little more storage. I think it's going to be amazing and offer a lot to our community.
Well, we will have to come by and take another look, and we'll definitely be there for the opening. We're looking forward to that.
Yes.
Well, Carly, have you had your tea?
I haven't. I've been too busy talking.
Well, that's the trouble with this format. The tea gets cold while I just rab it on.
It's perfect. It cooled off.
There we go. Well, Carly, this has been an absolute delight. Thank you so much for joining us for a Humboldt Tea Time.
Thank you for having me.
Well, it's a real pleasure to see you, and we'll look forward to when the facility opens. We'll also look forward to the day when hopefully Food for People will not be needed. I cannot see that in our future, but wouldn't that be great?
It would be great. It's a future to work towards, I think. We would all like to see a community where no one's struggling to make it by. So that is the hope. That's the goal.
Yeah, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that, very much so.
Yeah.
Carly, real pleasure to see you. Thank you so much to our host at the Eureka Visitor Centre for hosting us again today in this beautiful, beautiful space. And we hope that you'll join us again for another Humboldt Tea Time very soon. Thanks so much. Cheers. Do we cheers with tea?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah,
I've never done it before.